Hello, it's Kyle here. I'd like to talk about media literacy. Media literacy is something that I've been interested in as far back as I can remember. Back in grade 11, which is more than half my life ago, I don't like to think about that, I took my first English media course in high school. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, English media is like regular English class, only instead of analyzing books, students study albums, photographs, paintings, movies, television, etc. I signed up for this class because I'd always found it interesting how the media could shape the message. I wouldn't go so far as McLuhan and say that the medium is the message, but I certainly can't deny the huge impact messages means of delivery has on shaping the way the audience responds to that message. I think one of Richard Feynman's books talks about how when he was a child and his father was reading with him, he would list some facts, but then he would pause and put those facts into a different context. So instead of reading a list of numbers for a dinosaur's size, he would stop and then say, so what that means is that even in your bedroom, which is on the second story, this dinosaur could peer in through the window and look you in the eye, but he couldn't get his face through because it's too big to fit through that window. This simple change in the way of thinking about something can also change the way we work with these ideas in our heads. Back to English media. I find older people sometimes have this idea that English media is just an excuse for those darn kids to get out of reading books. But I disagree. People today are subjected to far more ads, more TV, more images, more photographs. We see far more of this than we do of books in our day-to-day lives. And I believe it's critical that people be given the mental tools to identify the ways they are being manipulated through all forms of media, not just books. If you're looking for some examples of how media can shape things, if I want to appear highly authoritative and truthful on a subject, I can opt to use the written word, which people tend to take more seriously. If it's written down, it can't be made up. On the other hand, if I want to manipulate an audience's sense of empathy, I can choose to use video with a composition focusing on my eyes, and I might speak slightly more softly. Or I can tone that down by putting on some sunglasses or something. Another technique, if I'm interested in consensus building, I can speak with a rising intonation as if each declaration is a question, and I can bring people closer that way. Or I can speak flatly, or even with a descending intonation to demonstrate that I am the authority on a topic, and I don't care what you think. These are techniques that just simply do not apply to the written word, but media-savvy people who know these tricks can use them to trick you into thinking the way we want you to think. There are also infographics that can break down incredibly complex situations into something that can be more easily managed. Young people are more media savvy than ever, and part of this is because English media is more common now than it was in the past. But I think it's also because kids today just simply have to be. For young people, old media is untrustworthy because we grew up knowing the advertisers are holding the reins. We know that if a major news organization ever digs up some real dirt on one of their major advertisers, that company would pull out their ads. So the story gets pulled and the public suffers for it. That's why young people gave up on cable news. We don't care about clueless pundits babbling endlessly in circles, just talking around a subject rather than addressing it directly. We went straight for The Daily Show with Jon Stewart because rather than talking around the subject, he would get to the core of it. He would show someone making a statement, then he would pull up a clip from the past proving them wrong. It was definitive. It was clear. He wasn't a journalist, but his show was closer to journalism than cable news has ever been. And young audiences, I don't think they had the words to describe that, but they respected that, and that's also why we gave up on old media and went towards new media sources like YouTube. So all this YouTube drama about demonetizing edgelord accounts and trying to turn YouTube from the Wild West into a form of commercial-friendly, easily digestible pablum has really caught my interest. I don't think this is Google doing this, or I don't think this is YouTube doing this. This is the advertisers. Now, nobody ever wants to admit that they're wrong. It's just not a good feeling to admit to that. I don't know why, but it's the way people are built. Being wrong about something sucks. And old media, they see everyone leaving TV. And they're freaking out about this, as they should be, because their jobs are on the line. There's a lot of money involved. But rather than admitting that the problem might be with them and the way they're doing things, they don't want to admit that they're clueless and out of touch. They don't want to admit that they're relics from a past, a hindrance to progress. They just want to turn new media into the same generic crap that the old media has become. They want it to be safe. The problem I don't think they recognize is the audiences that they are used to catering to is going away. New media isn't the problem. Younger, more educated, media-literate audiences who are savvy to the ways they are being manipulated, they aren't falling for the same old tricks anymore. That's the real problem. Making new media more like the old media isn't going to fix anything. It's just going to drive those younger audiences towards even newer platforms. While the existing platforms, they're not going to go away. They're going to hang on there until the existing audiences grow old and die. Stop trying to apply old solutions to new problems. Let's look at this in a new way. I guess another reason why this has perked my attention is that I don't really consider myself to be that transgressive or that much of an edgelord, but I've seen a 20-fold decrease in my income from this channel. Fortunately, this channel is far from my primary income and I just do this for fun, but it's still a real kick in the teeth.